company ever to be worth $1 trillion. Well, it could happen tomorrow. Shares are higher right now in late trading after it reported strong earnings after the bell, selling more than 41 million iPhones at higher prices. Earlier on Wall Street, stocks notching solid gains today after word that the U.S. has resumed trade talks with China. With that, the Dow today up 108 points, the Nasdaq up 41. Shares of Chipotle sharply lower again today after several people reported getting sick after eating at a store in Ohio, which reopened today after getting the local health department's okay. Because of higher costs, Procter & Gamble is hiking prices on Pampers, Charmin, Bounty paper towels, and more. Casino giant MGM Resorts now the official gaming partner of the NBA and WNBA for legalized sports betting. And Tesla pulling in workers from other parts of the company to help build those long-delayed Model 3s. Tom Busby, CNBC.
On this episode of the world's shortest sitcom by KFC. So what did we learn today, folks? That's right. KFC now has 4 different $20 fill-ups to feed a family of 4. Like my 8-piece extra crispy or 8-piece original recipe. 12-piece tenders or my new 6-piece boneless breasts with all the fixins for just $20. Wow, that sure is one reactive audience. Anyways, see you next time. KFC, it's finger looking good. At participating KFCs, prices may vary. Tax and substitutions extra.
Attention all authors. Page Publishing is looking for authors. Have you written a book and want to get it published? Page Publishing will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, Apple iTunes, and other outlets. They handle all aspects of the publishing process for you. Printing, cover art, publicity, copyright, and editing. Call 800-501-3689 now for your free author submission kit. That's 800-501-3689 for your free author submission kit. Again, 800-501-3689.
It's not just a home or a car. It's the 5 hours you spend in the kitchen mastering your epic wing recipe and the 3-hour family road trip to the tailgate party. While other insurance companies just see them as bundles or combos, State Farm agent Joe Amlani sees your home and car as the time and memories you put into them. Joe understands what your things really mean to you, and he's here to help you give them the protection that they deserve. Call State Farm agent Joe Amlani in Redlands for your home and auto insurance today.
Attention all business owners. Join See's Candies, Big Lots, Dollar Tree, and the Spunky Steer at the Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands. Availability is now open for restaurants, retail, and more. Located between Alabama and the Tennessee exits where the 10 and the 210 meet, your company can be a part of over 60 retail shops, restaurants, and local businesses. The Tri-City Shopping Center is zoned for multi-use, so call today and schedule an appointment. Ask for Chris Beauchamp or John Jennings, 951-684-4400. The Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands. The mall with a heart.
NBC News Radio, I'm Brian Shook. First responders are at the scene of an Aeromexico flight that went down after takeoff. The plane crash landed this afternoon only moments after getting off the ground at the Guadalupe Victoria International Airport in the city of Durango. Mexico's transport minister says there were 97 passengers and 4 crew members on the plane. Images from the scene show that much of the plane has burned. Emergency crews are on the scene. The lawyer for Paul Manafort says the prosecution's star witness embezzled millions from his client and then cut a deal to save himself. Opening statements began today shortly after a jury was seated in the bank and tax fraud case against President Trump's former campaign chairman. Senators are criticizing U.S. immigration enforcement and the separation of children from their parents.
Like many well-intentioned policies, there were unintended consequences as a result of the administration's zero-tolerance policy.
Opening a hearing today, Iowa Republican Chuck Grassley also criticized Congress for not passing comprehensive immigration reforms. White House Chief of Staff John Kelly is apparently not going anywhere. Kelly reportedly told staffers that President Trump asked him to remain on the job through the 2020 presidential election, and he agreed. Les Moonves is not facing charges in a sexual abuse case out of Los Angeles.
An acquaintance of Moonves went to the cops back in February to tell them about 3 incidents that happened in the 80s involving the CEO of CBS. Prosecutors tell NBC News the statute of limitations has expired, so they're not pursuing the case. Moonves is the focus of a recently published article in which he's accused of inappropriate behavior. The CBS Board of Directors say they're looking for outside counsel to investigate. Angela Anderson, NBC News Radio.
Apple is selling fewer iPhones, but an increase in costs is more than offsetting that. The technology giant beat Wall Street forecasts with revenue of over $53 billion. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
Whether you swing a hickory shaft Massey Niblick or the latest titanium hybrid, golf is your game, and the Boy Scouts need you. To be specific, the California Inland Empire Council of the Boy Scouts of America need your help in joining them for their 10th annual Golf Classic at Los Sureños Golf Club in Chino Hills on Friday, August 10th. A continental breakfast and a lunch are included, and we tee off at 7:45 a.m. Proceeds will help to offer young people responsible fun and adventure. Now, here's a new concept: digital network advertising, where businesses display your ad inside their building. If a picture's worth 1,000 words, your company is going to thrive with digital network advertising. Choose your marketing sites or jump on the DNA system and advertise with all participants. Your business ad or logo is rotated multiple times an hour inside local businesses where people will discover your company. Digital network advertising. DNA, a novel way to be seen and remembered. Digital network advertising with networks in Redlands and Yucaipa. Call in the 909 area 222-9293 for introductory pricing. That's 909-222-9293 for digital network advertising. One last time, digital network advertising, 909-222-9293.
Real facts, real lives, real science is what you get when you tune in to Smart Health Talk radio show every Tuesday at 4 o'clock. We want our listeners armed with the latest information no matter who we have to call out in the process. No corporate cloaking, no repeats of what you've already heard over and over. We bring what you're not getting from other shows. We're looking for what's having an impact on Americans' lives every day and into the future. I'm your host, Elaine McFadden. I'd like to invite you to learn with us. We're always there with podcasts and videos on KCAA YouTube and iHeartRadio, or live on KCAA Radio, 4 to 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every Tuesday.
Are you tired of CNN constantly negative news headlines? Then come balance with Dr. Marissa, the kinder, gentler Dr. Laura. Tune in every Thursday at 7 for the podcast of the year top 10 award-winning show, Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa on KCAA AM 1050, FM 102.3, and FM 106.5, streaming online at kcaaradio.com. Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah, right here on KCAA, the stations that leave no listener behind.
Hey, this is Todd from the Flip Flop Investor Show. Join us every Thursday at 4 p.m. Get your back up off the wall and start making investments in real estate like you've always wanted to do. Tune in every Thursday at 4 p.m. and we'll talk about investing in real estate here in the Inland Empire and beyond. We'll have special guests from newbies to seasoned veterans who will share their secrets for their success in real estate. Before you spend your life savings on a real estate seminar, be sure to come check out the Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club on the fourth Wednesday of every month at the Mission Inn in Riverside. The show's at 4 on Thursdays and the club is on the fourth Wednesday. See you right here this Thursday at 4 p.m. on KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
How you gonna do it if you really don't wanna dance? By standing on the wall. Get your back up off the wall. Tell me.
Welcome to Smart Health Talk with your host, Elaine McFadden.
Take a walk on the wild side. Will the birds and the bees survive? Right before me, my newfound hippie side. Once ignored these conspiracies online. Out the window, visions of the earth. Sign me up now, make sure you use your smart. Take a walk on the wild side. Will the birds and the bees survive? Would your children lie to see Mother Nature's side?
Welcome to Smart Health Talk with your host, Elaine McFadden.
welcome, everyone.
Welcome to Smart Health Talk with your host, Elaine McFadden.
Hey, everyone. I guess you guessed. Yeah, that's right. I'm Elaine McFadden. You got it right. And yes, this is Smart Health Talk. And if you're wondering if you have your radio tuned to the right station, I can guarantee you're at the right place, because we've got a great show lined up for you. And those of you that are interested in trying to find out, you know, what would be the best thing for you to drink, as far as, you know, we have milk, as a matter of fact. You know, everyone on the front of those cartons of almond milk, soy milk, they said milk. Well, you may notice that they don't say milk anymore, and that's because the milk industry finally decided that, you know, we're going to stand up for our standard of identity, and these people are not the standard of identity for milk. So they're not allowed to use the word anymore. So your almond drink or, you know, the soy drink that you're having, if you're not drinking organic, then I guarantee you're getting a big old drink full of GMOs and some of the worst pesticides of all, actually. We've got trials going on right now. There's like 400 plaintiffs that claim that Roundup gave them cancer. And we're talking serious stuff here. Roundup, you know, that stuff that they advertise that you must spray around your home because that evil dandelion must die. You know, that dandelion that as a kid you pick and blow it and make a wish? Yeah, that's so evil that we have to subject our families to toxic pesticides to get rid of it. And we must all have perfect lawns. So what if all kinds of beneficial insects also use that lawn and grass to look for food and find cover and things like that? So when we're poisoning our lawn, we're poisoning it for bees, which actually pollinators benefit from those dandelions. And you know, when we don't do that, we end up with more of the good bugs that actually help balance everything out. Now, pesticides, this is becoming more and more of a huge issue. And why? Because we're getting wise. That's right. We're starting to get educated. And we're going, wait a minute. You're poisoning our food? And that poisoning is giving us cancer? Well, I guess that's not the only thing that's given us cancer. There are blood pressure medications that are actually giving people cancer too. And this is like really scary stuff. So supposedly, you know, well, unfortunately, oh no, internet connection. I still can't get connected to the internet for some reason here. I don't know what is the problem. I'll quit my Safari. Maybe that will happen. Or maybe I should just go to my Chrome. I don't know why it's not connecting. I wanted to go look this up. Okay, well, anyway, let's see, back to Safari. Oh, now it closed everything. Great. Okay, let's go. Okay, I lost everything I had open. Okay, well, we have plaintiffs right now, 400 plaintiffs that claim that Roundup caused cancer. Why are people getting wise? Okay, we have an active ingredient in Roundup. It is called glyphosate. Now, all the tests that everyone have been doing, all these years saying that Roundup is safe, what did they test? Really? Okay, they tested glyphosate. Now, that would be fine and good if that was the only thing in that product. But 98% of that product are secret ingredients. Secret ingredients with chemicals, some of them even more toxic than the glyphosate. Okay, so when they do all these tests and they say it's safe, all they're testing is this one chemical, and they're testing it for a few months, and people are eating this stuff 24/7. I mean, they're eating it every day of the year. So to just do a short-term test really doesn't make much sense. Okay, so, you know, People are smartening up to that. But when we're looking at this product, and look at the label, everyone. When you go look, if you have pesticides in your house, go look at the label. See what it says, and it will say that that it has not like certain percentage of inert ingredients. Now, most of the time it's over 90%. We have no idea what this is, but there are people that have the idea, and that is the county. Yeah, go ahead and take it if you can fix that for me. And the thing is, like, when they test this, they're testing each of those individual inert ingredients, which there could be who knows how many, you know? I mean, there could be like a couple hundred. They test each one of those by themselves in isolation. They never test when they mix this stuff up in a bottle with all these different ingredients together. Dr. Hansen from Consumers Union told us a story how DDT was banned in the 70s, but in the 90s it started to show up in the environment again in higher and higher numbers every year. And they're like, what the heck? Well, it turned out those secret ingredients in a mitocide, which killed mites and everything else, those inert secret ingredients combined to make DDT. Who knows what else these things are combining in the product to make? And they're allowed to keep it secret from us. All right? So when you think that the government is looking out for you and that all these products are safe, I really want you to start asking more questions, because this is impacting not just our health, but our environment, our climate. Using all these pesticides for farming and raising cows. Thank you, my man. All right, right on to Brandon, our engineer here at KCAA. Fixed my computer, yay. Anyway, so we have products that have all these secret ingredients in there mixed up together that they have never been tested for safety when we mix them up together. Okay? Now, another thing that came out that I was trying to find here, because I unfortunately have all this stuff memorized. So now when I click on it, I get to go there. Yay. Okay, we have, how many people are on blood pressure medication in this country? I tell you, there are like millions of people. And why? It's called the silent killer because it actually kills lots of people. And it kills them and they don't even know it. We have probably a couple of million, if not more, cases of blood pressure that are undiagnosed in this country. So people have super high blood pressure and they could actually drop dead any second. And I know that when I was working for the county public health, we had people that were actually going into churches and screening people for blood pressure, and they have actually rushed people to the hospital from the church because their blood pressure was so high. Also, they've caught people that have diabetes and they don't know it. This is another disease that goes undiagnosed. So what does high blood pressure lead to? Well, a stroke, for one. And that's because you have so much pressure. It's just like when you blow up a balloon. And if you keep blowing up a balloon and letting the air out and blowing up a balloon and letting the air out over and over and over again, which is what people do to their veins, every time their pressure goes up, you're putting pressure on those veins. Well, what if your veins are weak? What if you haven't been getting enough vitamin C, which adds to elasticity in your veins? What's going to happen? Okay, we got like a hole in the dam. That's right. It is going to crack and break. That is one thing that can happen. Another thing is you can get a full-on thrombosis. You can have blood clot. It can explode your vein in your brain. So you get an aneurysm. It is so serious, and that's why they call it the silent killer. But this blood pressure medication contains chemicals that are cancer causing. So all these people, and I've been trying to tell everyone for years that we've been doing this show, you don't want to be addicted to these drugs, you know? And now they're finally talking about diazepine. And those of you that listen to Smart Health Talk know I was talking about diazepine way before anybody else, because that Las Vegas shooter was on diazepine, which is Valium. And I know from years ago when I was trying to be a model, because I'm 6 foot tall, and I was trying to get my weight down lower and lower and lower, because these people kept telling me that I had to be skinnier and skinnier and skinnier when I wasn't even eating anything hardly. I mean, like a can of tuna fish for the whole day. And still they're telling me, lose more, lose more. So I go to the doctor and he gives me Black Beauties. That was the big diet pill back then. Also gave me Valium and some Quaaludes to go to sleep. Well, the Valium was from the anxiety that came with the taking the speed or the diet pill. I heard stories. People were like telling us even back then, trying to get off Valium is like super hard. You cannot quit Valium cold turkey. You could die. And who knows what else, what kind of craziness goes on in people's minds. Valium, extremely dangerous. It's another epidemic happening in this country along with the opioid epidemic. And just stay away from Valium, everyone. You want to feel good, you're having anxiety, you need to start exercising. You need to eat healthy. Make sure that only you get the best food for your body. Do without other things that are unimportant. Stuff. Buying stuff that has no meaning, will just break. It's a piece of crap anyway. You know, and you can get good quality food and make your body a mean, lean machine that's going to last you for a long period of time. Going through pain and degeneration with your nerves degenerating because of diabetes, your joints degenerating, so you can't hardly do anything anymore. This is not the way to go. Or just dropping dead one day from a friggin' aneurysm in your brain. Because you're not eating healthy enough and your veins weren't elastic when they needed to be elastic. And another thing is, chill out, people. Gosh, relax. Relax. I mean, people create problems. Does anyone know anyone out there that, like, they just create problems out of nowhere? I mean, you're just like, what are you talking about? This doesn't even exist. I don't even know why you're going there. You're getting yourself all riled up. Road rage, all these things raise your blood pressure, fight or flight. Okay? And that means someone could be holding a gun in front of you and you're running for your life. So what happens? Respiration increases, heart rate increases, your blood vessels dilate. Your white blood cell count increases. And this is not a good state to be in all the time. You know, this is supposed to be like, happens every, hardly ever, right? How many people are running from a gun? Okay, if you live in certain parts of the country, yeah, that may be every day, unfortunately. And my heart goes out to you that have to live like that. And I'm doing everything I can with my little show here and trying to get the word out that we can change it, okay? But the thing is, when you're in that state, it is so dangerous because you're at actually a very vulnerable state. Just picture yourself out there naked, with someone coming and attacking you. It's kind of like what you're leaving yourself. You're leaving yourself so vulnerable by being in that state of fight or flight that your immune system is weak and you're open to attack by whatever you happen to touch when you're out and about or breathe. You are going to be very susceptible to getting sick. when you're in that state of fight or flight all the time, because it weakens your immune system and it weakens all parts of your body. It is not meant to be. We're supposed to be relaxed, you know? Yeah, maybe it was stressful back when you had to like hunt for your dinner every day, but it's not like that now. And quit thinking, you know, this is people having to just like stuff their faces all the time with all this like crap factory farm food. Well, we have Tiffany Anderson coming on the show today. And are we working on getting Tiffany on the line? Okay. Yeah, we're going to have Tiffany Anderson, and she literally, when she worked for the Vector Department, she went out and took care of dairy farms. Now, that's why I brought up milk at the very beginning. Unfortunately, the person in charge of the international dairy industry is the guy that made GMOs possible. He's the guy that went in there, did his little magic tricks to make sure certain policies got passed so those GMOs would be okay to be used in our food system, and pesticides would be that are needed for those GMOs would be okay. Made sure that even though all the research said this stuff causes cancer and all kinds of birth defects and that, they still gave it the green light, you know, because that guy made a big difference. Now he's head of the international dairy industry. Dairy industry is dirty. It is a dirty, dirty industry. Unfortunately, it could be the total opposite. But that is also the great thing. That if we transitioned away from these factory farms where we crowd animals in to tight spaces, treat them inhumanely, feed them the cheapest crap food and GMOs and pesticides and old Twinkies and discarded cheap food into the dairy and the cattle industry, if we let our animals graze and roam free, we could offset all the carbon produced in this country if we let our animals graze instead of these factory farms. And all these outbreaks of, oh, we got salmonella over here and E. coli over there, it's coming from these factory farms. And I built a huge section on our website, smarthealthtalk.com, about factory farms. So I know what they look like. I know what's, you know, I just, you know, saw the 1,000,000-gallon excrement ponds and all this kind of stuff. But I never thought past that. But Tiffany opened my eyes to so many different things. She has just been blowing my mind for a couple of months being on our show here. And she got me thinking past just those pictures of the excrement ponds. She got me thinking about what happens next. What do those excrement ponds lead to? What problems do they cause while they're sitting there, besides contaminating our food system and actually killing people with these contaminations? I didn't even think about it. She totally opened up my mind and said, Elaine, you know, we come out there. These farming methods that are creating this excrement that is like a breeding ground for mosquitoes is triggering something else because of the threat that they have now created with this type of farming system. I went to organic pastures, raw organic dairy up in Fresno, California. There's no excrement ponds there. There's cows out in the fields of grass eating grass, okay? Free, you know, except for the electric wire, which most of the time you don't even have to turn on. They just they have a square footage that they put them in each day. They just move them to a new area each day out there in that field of grass. And then you may think, oh yeah, like grass-fed, yeah, that's cool. That's where it's at for omega-3s, conjugated and linolenic acids for my brain and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And you'd be right. But unfortunately, there are actually farmers out there spraying grass with Roundup. I know. I just blew your mind. You're just like, what? Why would they be doing that? That's what I asked. But they are. That's why you have to buy organic. You cannot trust these other things, okay? And the trials that are happening in San Francisco, Dr. Charles Benbrook just testified today. He's been a guest on our show many times. One of his two important research papers he did, he proved that organic food had higher nutrient levels than conventional. And as a dietitian, I was so sick and tired of hearing old school dietitians say, oh, it's all the same. I'm like, did you pass math? Because when you do the math of the soil microorganisms that are in soil that is an organic soil full of organic matter, and do the math of the soil microbes that are in pesticide-laden dead soil, whole different answer there. So those are key to nutrition. And actually Roundup and the pesticides chelate the minerals and hold them and lock them in the soil so they never get in the food. So there's no friggin' way that that makes sense. And the fact that these people that are supposed to be nutrition experts were saying that, when I'm a dietitian, I would never say that. So he became my hero when he did that. And Dr. Benbrook is so smart. And he came out with another paper that exposed a huge lie that has been told to us for years, along with the whole egg yolk being bad for us. When they finally came back and admitted, with Dr. Benbrook's research, he found that organic whole milk was much better for your heart than non-fat conventional. And that whole non-fat, big fat lie, yeah, so the dairy industry could keep the fat and sell it and make more money for butter and ice cream and as a solvent and all kinds of things, because fat is actually a very valuable commodity. So they lied to us and sold us that milk for the same price when they took the fat out that was good for our heart. So I don't trust those people. And that guy was the head of it, that international guy. So we need to help our dairy farmers buy organic milk to start off with. And I know you think you're doing better by buying almond and soy, but if it's not organic, I would never recommend it. And the almonds actually use specialized pesticides that were banned, and they're being allowed to use them again. So the worst of the worst pesticides in that almond milk. Okay, I kind of wanted to set everything up because I want everyone to check into what's going on with the trials happening in California. And we're going to go to just a quick break here, and we're going to come back. And can you just play our the Smart Health Talk promo? Do you have that? Oh, okay, never mind. Okay, we're going to go right to Tiffany. Never mind. We'll just go right to Tiffany. So we're gonna get educated on what's going on with dairy farms, and she has some other information also that we're going to go over that gets into having our freedom and our rights to choose our own personal treatments, having that infringed and possibly taken away by our government. So, Tiffany, are you there?
I'm here.
Woohoo! Yeah. All right. So we're ready to get down here today on Smart Health Talk. And hey, this is a dirty business, and it's, this isn't pretty. It's not pretty.
It can't be any dirtier than working in dairy ponds and in human waste.
So what would you say that one is worse than the other?
I would say that the human waste is worse than the animal manure.
I would agree, because animal manure really doesn't bother me, especially if it's on an organic farm.
When you're working in a sewer plant, you're working around, just think about this, menstrual cycles, STDs, AIDS, tampons, anything people, pharmaceuticals, anything people flush down their toilets or their drains, everything that comes out of the human body, you are working in that. So that's pretty gross.
It is, and we have a business associate that built and runs 45 water treatment plants. So he has people, they're underground, and he builds a park on top. They're really cool. So he does a great job, and he shows people where the sewage comes in and the clean water comes out, and he takes the glass and puts it where the water comes out and drinks it right in front of them. But
Wow.
he has told us that, just like you mentioned, Tiffany, the pharmaceuticals, these other pesticides, all these different things can still be in the water. And the thing is, he could filter them out. He said, I could get it out, but it takes special nanofilters to get those particles out, and it costs extra money. And cities do not want to pay for it. So that's why we're getting all this stuff in our water. And that's why I go get filtered water to drink myself.
You cannot drink our water anymore. I can't tell you what year that changed, but I remember when I was working for Vector specifically, I started drinking bottled water specifically because I would be out in the field where there were no amenities, there were no bathrooms, there were no places to have clean containers to drink out of, and so that was the most sterile.
So you just had to go out there and in nature and out there in the open
and use the restroom. No, I held my bladder a lot, and I would plan my day around the restroom, and so there were 2 restrooms out. There were marinas, and so I would plan my days around my restroom break, because I wasn't just going to.
That's not actually very healthy to be.
It's not, especially when you have toxins in your body and your body's trying to eliminate those toxins. Absolutely, it's not. But it's illegal to go to the restroom out in public, because it's public indecency. I mean, you can actually get a sexual. You can become be a sexual pervert. You can actually get a record for indecent exposure and be. What do they call that when?
Indecent exposure. If you were out there like in the open going to the bathroom, then you could actually get a ticket and get a fine.
And if you had so many tickets, I think it's 3. Then you are then you'd have to register as a sex offender. So
really, I didn't know that. Like, if people go to the bathroom in public and they get caught.
Do not quote me. Okay, please check that information. But
well, your memory is probably, it came from somewhere, so I have a feeling you probably heard that somewhere.
It's against the law to urinate on the side of the road or in public, and so if you get, a woman might get away with it, but for men, for sure, I know that's a big thing. Like, I know that's a big thing, public but we're not talking about that anyway. We were talking about, let's stay on topic, because I can go south pretty easy. The human waste ponds here in the town that I live in Lodi, what I've noticed is that we have one sewer pond. Our town has grown and continues to build an infrastructure. We have built like a super Walmart. We have a Costco. We've now built a Sprouts, which is like equivalent to my memory is just really
it's
bad.
Kind of like a Whole Foods, but like smaller.
Thank you, Elaine. Thank you for having my back. It's equivalent to a Whole Foods. And then we have built a bunch of housing. And what is mind-blowing to me is that we do not have they're not expanding our sewer plant. They're not creating a larger sewer plant. We do not have the infrastructure to provide healthy drinking water already to the citizens who lived here. They've allowed all this growth, and they have not planned for the waste and the sewage. I pulled out the maps last week because I wanted to show you, and you couldn't see them. I don't know if you went back and you looked at the video. I make myself watch our videos afterwards, and I could see the map on the screen. But I pulled out a map of where our city waste goes. It actually has a direct line into the Delta, which goes straight into the to San Francisco to the ocean. So a lot of, just like the dairy farmers are not supposed to leach their dairy wastewater off of their property, it's against the law to dump wastewater into the waters of the U.S., but they do it anyways. And so my point was that that our town has not created a bigger sewer plant or the means to provide for the proper waste facility.
And this is a problem all across the country, because
I
went to Hawaii the first time I'm staying on Waikiki Beach. They have a sewage spill. So the first time I finally get to stay on Waikiki Beach, it's a friggin' sewage spill. I could not believe my luck, And all the time here in Southern California, in Los Angeles, we're having spills. I'm not sure if it's like
criminal. It's criminal. They should not allow the building. The planners, the developers should the first thing they should do is they should make the first thing the city managers should do is, and the attorneys, is make sure that the developers who are benefiting and the city who is benefiting from the infrastructure and from the building, that they pay for all of the amenities that are needed. That means they put in a fire department. That means they build the school. That means they pay for the streets. That means they pay for the drainages. That means that they provide for the clean water. They make sure that they can provide water. I mean, when we had a water shortage and they're allowing building, that's just that's bad management skills. You don't build more when you don't have enough to provide.
This whole water issue is just like such a big issue, because like people heard about the lead in Flint water. When there is actually 2,000 other water systems around the country that have more lead than Flint. That's how bad the lead is, and this dumbs down our children. And that's just one thing. And
that's a crime.
And you're talking, Tiffany, about you told us about all these other things that are in the water.
That are in the water. I mean, one of the my head, when we start talking, my head just starts going in so many directions. I'm a follower, and I highly respect Erin Brockovich. I reached out to her when I first was looking for an advocate. I met her when she has a water expert here, and he's actually from Southern California. I believe his name is Robert Bocock, and they do so much advocacy. And actually, it started about 10 years ago. Jesse Ventura, well, now it's been longer. It's been 15 years. Jesse Ventura used to have a show called Conspiracy Theory, and he had a specific one called Liquid Gold. And it was about, that will blow your mind, but it's about, and he was saying, and it was before we started having the issues we're having now. He was warning us when there was actually time to do something about it. Now it's almost too late. Like every time I see one of Erin Brockovich's posts, they're regular. I mean, if you're not a subscriber on Facebook, you should be. I mean, it's really disheartening.
Well, yeah, it's that, and then like right now, the nitrogen in all these waterways with the algae buildup, like what used to be beautiful lakes, because of the nitrogen runoff from all these like liquid gas fertilizers that they use in our food system, it's so high in nitrogen because it's fake. It's a fake fertilizer. It isn't like a compost at all, like a natural fertilizer that we would use. And it puts all this nitrogen into our waterways, and it's killing so many of our waterways. And then we have amoebas in there, and who knows? We're just putting these like Chemours, which is a chemical plant over in like North Carolina or South Carolina. I think it's North Carolina, and they make some of these like the Teflon and these other chemicals. All this stuff is going into our water system. We act like, and now we've lifted all these regulations, Tiffany, and Trump is going to allow pesticides to be sprayed directly into waterways without any reporting, without any previous approval.
I hate to tell you this, Elaine, but it had already been done prior to Trump's approval.
Reality check, Elaine.
Yeah, sorry, Elaine, but that was already going on. So, Trump's just saying, hey, why have a legislation when it's not even being complied with? I mean, I don't read his mind. I don't own a television. I don't watch the news, but I can tell you as a pesticide applicator, it was being done it was being done in 2004 to 2012.
So like from what you've seen and how the system works, where do you think we have opportunities for change and improvement, Tiffany? What kind of things do you, when you're out there working, do you ever like think, gosh, if we did it this way, it would be so much better? Like when
well, first of all, you'd have to have people that were doing their jobs, and you'd have to have a manager who actually cared that his employees were doing his job. The manager only cared about his bottom line, which was his retirement, his salary, his air conditioning, his status. He was like the model manager before I blew the whistle on him. And
what about like in procedures, like in the dairy farms, for instance, you told us about how you had to go and we have to spray because of the excrement created by that type of farming system.
Well, okay, so there's a law. It's the nuisance law, and water is not supposed to be on a property. Standing water is not supposed to be on a property past 48 hours. And if it is, it's a nuisance. And Vector Control has the authority to issue citations and heavy citations. So out where I was assigned for the duration of my employment during the harassment portion when they were trying to terminate me, I had 2 irrigation districts that ran parallel to one another. I had Oakdale Irrigation District and I had South San Joaquin Irrigation District. They both ran different cycles. So one had a 7-day cycle, which would run on, I worked, I had 120, and I had north and south of 120. 120 from Stockton. Well, actually, it's Manteca, and it goes all the way into Yosemite.
Are there dairy farms all along that highway?
Absolutely, hundreds of dairy farms.
Really,
and,
hundreds.
In fact, the girl who did not have to do her job, the girl who I have a story for you. There was a girl, and she did not have to do her job because she was sleeping with the supervisor. So management brought the supervisor and her from the fields, kept them in the office, created jobs so that they didn't have to be out in the fields because her husband had a gun. He was in the Hells Angels, and he was driving around. He'd already beat the supervisor up. He beat her up, and he was out driving around looking for them and threatening their lives. So the manager brought them in to the yard and started creating these computer systems that they would implement for us to have to use out in the field. We had like 4 or 5 of them, and both of them got to create them, design them. They didn't work. They were garbage. But this girl had all dairies. That's all she had was dairies. And so the supervisors one of his technicians in his trap, he had like 100 mosquitoes overnight. He was getting 200 mosquitoes overnight in the CO2 baited traps. So the supervisor, the manager's getting on the supervisor, who's not out in the field doing his job, and so the supervisor starts jumping on his employee who is out there doing his job every day. So they sent an assistant supervisor, Scott, to go out with Steve, and they went out for like a week, and they were looking for sources, trying to find any place that might be the cause of these high mosquito counts. And Scott, everyone knew. They saw every day that two people aren't doing their job. And so Scott goes over to the other side of the road. A road can be a dividing line for a territory. So Scott just goes over into her side of the road and dips and just finds tons and tons of mosquito larvae. So Scott, how would you feel if you were getting reprimanded for doing your job when you were doing it, and then you look and you see somebody not doing their job and you're getting in trouble for that?
So a big part of this is allocation of responsibilities, and then they hire people for alternative reasons to have an affair with them versus have them work. This is like totally wrong, and
what ends up happening?
What about at the actual site?
In this particular story, Elaine, because it's very telling. I mean, when they talk about West Nile, it just angers me because
we're hearing it on the LA News now. They're trying to set everyone up, saying, "Oh yeah, we're starting to detect."
They want the funding, and so I want to hit on some things. So Scott goes over. He's an assistant supervisor under the supervisor who doesn't leave his office chair. Who's in there with his subordinate, they ended up getting married. They're now married, a married couple there at work. But now the supervisor is retired. But anyway, at that time he was not. And so Scott has he had the cojones, I don't know, he had the strength to walk over to the other side and walk into the office and say, look, this isn't Steve's problem. This is Janine's problem. She's not doing her job. These mosquitoes are coming from her zone. She has all these dairies, and they're not, she's not doing her job. And so the end result of that was the manager, the assistant manager, the supervisor allowed Janine, the employee, to reprimand the assistant supervisor. She's under him, but she reprimands him for going into her territory, into her zone, and she threatens him and tells him never to go over to her side again. So it doesn't matter if West Nile is an issue. It doesn't matter if mosquitoes are an issue. She just doesn't want anybody, pointing out the fact.
And this could affect millions of people, because if this leads to an outbreak, then you have to do extra spraying, right? What's the worst case scenario when something like this happens?
So the worst case scenario, here are the two ways they mop up their mess. Here's the two ways that they mop up not handing out the letters, not doing the water restrictions, not enforcing the nuisance law, and not doing their job, is they justify to fly. So the worst case scenario is now we have the adulticide trucks spraying the pyrethrins, which requires a crew of at least 6 employees to be out working 15-hour days spraying. Okay, so when you're spraying that pyrethrin, which is a chrysanthemum flower, when they're out there spraying that, they're working for 4 hours after they've already worked an 8-hour shift in 100 and whatever degree weather. They go out at 6:30 at night and they drive 10 miles an hour, spraying aerosol out of the side of their truck or the back of their truck, and now they are spraying homes, people, waterways, food, there's no, unless a person specifically calls and says, put me on the no spray list, then they are going to get sprayed without their knowledge.
And they're probably getting drift from, because
they want the drift. I mean, we would take sections, huge sections of the county, and they'd spray by truck. And then the worst case scenario is, and this was what I wanted to get into, is Vector. You know, a lot of government agencies, they kind of followed that McDonald's business model where they would buy property, and then the property increased in value. So Vector owned an airstrip in Escalon, and that airstrip was so contaminated because they would do all their crop dusting from that site. So there's a site in Escalon where, because we have a lot of rice, and then we have a lot of pasture mosquitoes, plus we have the dairy mosquito. There's different species. There's 26 species of mosquitoes in California, and so you have these different species of mosquitoes that have different breeding conditions and different metamorphosis cycles. So the worst case scenario is that then they're flying planes. So then you go from the truck driving aerosol person who's spraying for 4 hours straight at 10 miles an hour, you know, wanting the drift. You want the drift because the pesticide only kills on contact. It supposedly doesn't have a residual. We know it has a residual.
Do you pick days that are more windy? Is that better?
No, by law, they're not supposed to spray over if the winds are over 10 miles an hour. They're not supposed to spray over anything over 10 miles an hour.
But do they?
Do they need a job?
Yeah.
Do they need to kill mosquitoes?
Yeah. So I guess they do.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, well we got like only 2 minutes left, so
darn it! I always have so much I want to say and never enough time.
I know. Well, we should start at the top of the hour next week, so that because just when we start getting rolling, that's when we have to end. So we'll just we'll start at the top of the hour next week.
Maybe we could talk about the properties and the contamination of the properties. I mean, I know I have.
Yeah, I want to talk because a lot of people, they go, oh well. When I try to tell someone, they're like, "Oh, well, that's illegal for them to do." I said, "Well, but they're still doing it, even though it's illegal." And those trucks.
The thing. If OSHA's allowing it, if OSHA knows, if the district attorney knows, they are all accessories to a crime because Vector's committing crimes against humanity, and any agency who has the authority and is allowing it and is not enforcing the laws. They are an accessory to a crime.
Well, yeah, because a lot of things are dying in the process of all this, and
our family and friends.
Yeah, because you personally know people with cancer. How many of us don't know someone that has cancer, diabetes, or heart disease?
My boss died at 59.
Yeah, that is like way too young. And the stress that these chemicals put on our body, it's just we have no clue. It's so complicated, and yet we're just like dumping all this stuff into our environment like it disappears. It does not disappear, everyone, okay? It just gets relocated. It reminds me of the Cat in the Hat, you know, the ink. They can never seem to get rid of the ink. It's like people think that this stuff, it goes away. It does not. So, Tiffany, thank you so much. Thank you so much for today and joining us again and for all your time on this. And everyone, please be sure to go to smarthealthtalk.com, bluemonarchproject.com, and it's Cooltix. Say it again.
It's culixpippian.com. Okay. My story working for a special district.
Okay, well, and that's where you go and like do some more reading about Tiffany, and please look at our other past shows that we've had with Tiffany, and you're going to really get an eye opener, everyone, because this is making such a huge impact on our family's health, our environmental health, and our future. And go ahead.
Episode 1, is there any way that it's just an audio, but can you put it on YouTube so that I can put it on my blog? Yes. All of our interviews are on my blog, but interview 1 just loops.
Okay. Okay, well, I'll work on it. Okay. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Bye.
right before me, my newfound hippie side.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
So, you want to be in show business. Do people tell you that you're really funny, you have a great personality, and you should have your own talk show? Many of us have been told that, but we don't know how to get started. It's easier than you think. Let the pros at Cali Vegas give you a free talent evaluation. Call 949-445-1119 and learn how quickly you can create, produce, and host your very own talk show. Imagine not having to sit in traffic every day, commuting back and forth to the same old boring job. Get started in television or radio today with your free talent evaluation from Cali Vegas. Call 949-445-1119 or visit them online at calivegas.com.